And good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Cumberland County Board of Commissioners meeting for April the 4th, 2022. It is springtime. You can't tell it by the weather outside. We hope it keeps warming up. I think it's going to get up to 80 this week, so that is a great thing. We're going to start off with our invocation and our pledge led by Commissioner Lancaster. I guess the basketball game is on early.
Gotcha. Thank you. Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your divine guidance. Father, we ask you for wisdom and we ask you for support as we begin this meeting. We'd ask that you'd bless each one that has gathered here today. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Father, please allow us to nurture the bonds of our community that we represent. As we leave this meeting today, Father, we ask that you would surround each of us with your arms around each of us that we have gathered in your presence. We ask these things in your precious name. Amen.
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 The pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need to yes, leave me alone.
Yeah, you slide your butt down on the floor.
Okay, thank you.
That will take us to the approval of the agenda. Before I go to Madam Manager, I would ask the board if you would vote to add on a proclamation for the Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. If I can get a motion to add that on to the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Madam Manager, is there any changes
No,
to the?
sir.
I would take a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Is there a second? It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
And that will take us to presentations. Madam Manager.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This morning, I'm pleased to introduce Ms. Faith Bamer. She's here this morning to share a presentation on the Community Child Abuse Prevention Plan. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
You can pull it down. Look, there you go.
Okay, we're not quite
Good
back.
morning.
My name is Faith Bamer, and I am co-chair of SOAR. This is Liz Simpler with me, and she's going to be presenting with me as well.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for having us this morning. We wanted to share a little bit of the updates that we've been working on in our child abuse prevention plan within the community. So, just as a little refresher for everyone, our organization, or coalition, represents 30-plus organizations throughout the community. This is anywhere from leadership, education, our health advocates in the community, all aimed under one mission of preventing and reducing child abuse and neglect. Our coalition is divided into three committees, community engagement, data management, and parent engagement.
So a little bit about the subcommittees. The Community Engagement Subcommittee.
Can you pull that microphone just over to you a little bit? We're broadcasting, so they have to
Okay,
be able
yeah.
to hear. So if y'all go back and forth. that'd be-
Okay. So the Community Engagement Subcommittee is responsible for engaging the community in knowing about the Child Abuse Prevention Plan and doing things to educate and promote awareness about that. So the goals that they have set this past year were to develop communication briefs that we would send out as PSAs to the media. We also worked on a video that we can use to promote in the community about what SOAR is doing. The PSAs were not something that happened too much just because of COVID, which you'll hear as we go through that we were not able to do as much as we would like to because we had limitations.
Okay. Our next subcommittee is our data and research team. So this committee is responsible for organizing all of the different coalition members' data, analyzing those, sorry about that, and preparing and disseminating quarterly reports. This helps us to assess the gaps in our community so that we can better bring programs and services to the families of Cumberland County.
And the final subcommittee is the Parent Engagement Committee. So this committee works really hard to engage parents in our school system, in our child care centers, in the community, in doing things that can connect parents and connect individuals to see that they're not alone, that they have other parents that are going through the same kind of things that they are going through. So some of the things that we offer are called Connections Matter, parent cafes. We have offered those virtually this past year, and we're beginning to offer them in person little by little. In the month of March and April, we conducted 5, and I think one of those was virtual, and the others are going to be in person. So next, a little bit about some of the activities that we're trying to do and to get out there in the community. Some of you may have heard of the documentary called Resilience. It deals with the ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences. Again, that was kind of put on hold when COVID hit, but we have kind of rejuvenated, re-energized the group, and we're going to start hopefully getting that back out into the community. We're looking at doing a training of some of the SOAR members in that so that they'll feel confident and secure in going out and making that presentation.
Some of our other programs and services, we've been really excited to bring the Family Connects program to the community. As we know, there is not a shortage of babies being born in our community. So we're very excited to be supporting our youngest members there. And some of the other exciting things happening.
So another thing that was brought to the community pre-pandemic was protective factors training. And that is where you're bringing the protective factors, and there's 5 of those frameworks, back into our life. So what we're trying to do with that is to learn that we can be resilient, that connections matter, and I'm excited to announce that when I leave here, I'm going to lead, or be a part of leading the first one that we're doing over the next 3 days in the community. So we have 2 workshops scheduled that are all 7 modules, April 4th through the 6th, May 23rd through the 25th, and in addition, all the Fridays in April except for Good Friday, there's a group that is doing just the introduction, trying to draw some interest into that.
Yes, we certainly have had to get creative in our efforts to still do the work in the community. Another exciting thing was through the health department. They were able to bring the Triple P Positive Parenting program to the community as well. That was a huge accomplishment for the group.
And then finally, we mentioned a little bit was parent cafes. Those are just great tools for anybody, for any of us. We go, we sit at them, we intermingle at tables, and we exchange people at tables to get to know people. So it's a great way for parents to engage with one another and to find that concrete support that they need. And then finally, just a little information specifically about some numbers. The Child Advocacy Center, as you know, sees the children in our community that have the potential that they have been abused either severely physically or sexually. So this past year, we had fiscal year, we had 959 referrals to the CAC. That was a 9.5 increase from the year before. The year before, we had a 20% increase. So in the 2 years of the pandemic, we've almost had a 30% increase. And I tell you that to say that when things like that happen, crisis, trauma, that's when things can happen in our families. That's when we need to be more active. That's when we need to be proactive in doing something about it. We can intervene a lot. There's a lot of dollars for that as well. But what we want to do is prevent. No child needs to live in that. So I hope as you look around during this month of April and you see the beautiful blue pinwheels spinning, as I was walking up here this morning, that you'll be reminded of those 959 children and that you can make a difference. And if you're interested, contact CAC and you can get your own pinwheel kit. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Stand right there for a minute for us. And I will tell you that thank you for inviting me to speak on Friday. Hope I did a decent job for you.
You did
Good
great.
job. Thank you. It is the pinwheels all around our community reminds us of these 959 children. And as I said on Friday, our hopefully would be able to put you out of business to be able to do that part of it and continue to do the other things. But it is about a community effort. But we want to thank the Child Advocacy Center for taking the lead on that and doing that. I think Commissioner Booth may have had a comment.
I just have a couple here, and I agree with our chairman in that it's very pleasant seeing y'all, but it's kind of like homelessness. We'd like to not be meeting with people about that. So it's kind of like the success of the group is their own demise. So maybe we'll see you in a social aspect rather than coming up here. What I'd like, if you could, is could you send me a list so we don't do it here and of like the 30 agencies that you said that you're a co-op of all of them, what total number of people that means, and is there any crossover of city, county, state funding problems or anything like that at all, or where do y'all get the money to do these shows? And
Well, that's a good question. So SOAR is just a community gathering of professionals.
Right.
We do not have funding specifically to us. So, for instance, protective factors that we're doing, I wrote for a grant through Florence Rogers. Got that grant, that's how we're funding the materials needed for that. So that's kind of how we've been doing. And then like Parent Cafe, Fort Bragg provided the funds to train facilitators in that about 3 or 4 years ago now.
okay, does everybody in the 30 organizations have a say, a vote, or is it just really probably about 5 of y'all really meeting all the time and getting the word out to the rest?
Yeah. I would say our group, we meet regularly with as many of the stakeholders that are interested in this as possible. We have our executive team who does make more of the decisions, but each individual organization brings their own funding to produce their own programs and services. So for example, Family Connects, that's through Partnership for Children. We've had to acquire our own funding for that, the same with the activities at CAC. So that's really the only trick there is with the community coalition coming together, each organization then has to fund their own specific activities.
Yeah, well, I see a huge advantage to y'all have gotten everyone together is to make sure that your group isn't doubling up on something that you don't need as many people, pamphlets, funding, and then go, oh, we didn't have any money left to do the Keefe project or something. So I think just the sharing of information is huge on that. So if you could just send me the list later.
Absolutely, we'll send that, yeah.
Thank you.
And I think one of the things we want to do is to bring all these groups, all these agencies together, or individuals that are interested in this topic, and help them, support them and say, you know, what are you doing at the CAC? Well, we offer these prevention workshops on child abuse, and Partnership for Children has these things happening, so that we know what's going on and we're not duplicating, but looking for the gaps.
And I will tell you, they have partnered with Delta Sigma Theta, because I've been to a couple of the human trafficking seminars and cafes that they had, and those were wonderful and I think very informative. So thank you all for what you do for the community. I will call on Commissioner Evans for a presentation to you, because it is important to the county. You saw our pinwheels outside. We would encourage everyone to purchase a pinwheel. You can either get a vase or you can get the whole garden. So just to recognize that this is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Commissioner Evans.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, before we get into this, we thank you for what you do at CAC and all the energies and efforts that you put into making sure that our children are protected and taken care of here in Cumberland County, as well as abroad, because I know it goes outside the county limits. We're so grateful, but we're also saddened that you are necessary. And please don't take that the wrong way. No. I mean, it's sad that we will have to deal with individuals that just abuse our children and take advantage of our most precious commodity. And thank you so much. Now, if I could read this to you.
That's why I sent you.
County of Cumberland, North Carolina, proclamation, April 2022 Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month. Whereas, based on national best practice and research, the Child Advocacy Center, CAC, was founded in 1993 by a group of concerned local professionals seeking to coordinate services to child abuse victims and their families. And whereas the primary goal of the CAC is to alleviate the trauma children experiences once the disclosure of sexual abuse or serious physical abuse occurs, and whereas CAC provides a safe, child-friendly environment where professionals from 19 community agencies come together to interview, investigate, and provide support for the abused children and their families, and whereas CAC reduces the number of interviews for child victims of abuse, providing specifically trained professionals to conduct forensic interviews in a centralized location, and whereas CAC provides continuing education to professionals who serve child abuse victims and child abuse prevention and awareness programs to the entire community, and whereas the CAC coordinates multidisciplinary team case reviews where professionals from multiple agencies come together to plan the best course of legal and supportive action for the child abuse victim, and whereas national research has determined that type of coordinated approach can help alleviate trauma for children, increase the prosecution rate of preparatories, I guess, and be physically beneficial to the community. Now, therefore, we, the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners, on behalf of the citizens of Cumberland County, do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in Cumberland County, North Carolina, and recognize the Child Advocacy Center and the work in community partners in creating a safer community for all, protecting our community's children, adopted this 4th day of April 2022, and is signed by our chairman, Glenn Adams, Cumberland County Board of Commissioners. Again, thank you so much for what you do, and please keep our children safe. This is for you. Now, I'm going to do like my chairman wrong.
No, no.
I'm going to ask if you go around and shake everyone's hand and then join me for a photo.
Join him.
Join him. Way to go, Blake.
One, two, three. One more. One, two, three.
Thanks.
And before that takes us to the consent agenda, we do have our head librarian. I see Miss Faith Phillips here, so I'll just recognize her back there. And Jermaine is here as the department heads. And we've got our finance, I always like my finance people over here. Yeah, I got them on my face now. That takes us to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? If not, I will take a motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry, hold a minute. Then Mr. Keefe has one.
Like to, all these will be very similar, but I'd like to remove items 3G, H, I, J, K, L.
Okay.
It's just a question.
Just a question? You want to ask your question and before we remove them, or what? Or you want to remove
No,
them?
you just go ahead and do the agenda with the.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the consent
I'm sorry,
agenda?
up to M too. M.
M?
Yes, I apologize, Mr.
That's
Chair.
right. Approve the consent agenda with the omission of G through M. If I can get a motion?
So moved.
If I can get a second. It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
All righty. That takes us, I don't know if you want to do them as a group, or if you want to go through each one of them, will take us to G through M.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, G through L is a question, and M is a more in-depth question. These are all approval of surplus properties, and I know that we've gone through this many, many times, but all of these have a tax value of 0, but there's a tax value listed by, I guess, the attorney's office of what they believe the tax value is, but according to the tax value on the Cumberland County tax books, they're at 0. How did you come up with those numbers?
They're listed on the tax books as 0 because they are exempt, because they're owned by government, but they actually do have a tax appraisal, and we use that information
Where do you get that from?
from the tax office.
Okay, that's not listed anywhere on the internet then, right?
I think it is. It's not on the sheet that the first thing you get, but yeah,
Okay,
I don't have to ask the tax office to get it. I can look it up, yes.
okay. And we've gone through that all of these individuals that are looking to purchase these do not owe any other additional back taxes?
Yes,
We've
sir.
gone through that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Item M.
Mr. Keith, can I, if we're going to go on G through L, and Madam Manager, so that I guess we can make it as a policy if that's, or add it to the agenda session, so every month we don't have to ask that same question, is that might be a policy of this board, that nobody has back taxes or anything owed. We could at least talk about that, and then we don't have to have that question every month. Is that makes sense to everybody?
I thought you already adopted that policy.
We had talked about that
adopted it,
before.
so-
and it was-
all right, so
okay.
I was just trying to prevent having the question asked every
Thank you.
time. So we've already adopted that.
Yes, sir. We checked
Okay.
each one of these, yes, sir.
All right.
Okay.
We get that question every month.
I noticed that item M, acceptance of purchase property, 12.44 acres of vacant land located adjacent to the Cape Fear River. It's actually on the Cape Fear River. 12 acres. We're accepting an offer of $14,000. Where according to the number on the tax books, again, what I saw was 0, but they're calling for $62,000. Now, my simple public school math tells me that's about 22% of what the value of that property is on the Cape Fear River for 12 acres. And basically, the person just said, I'll pay the back taxes. But it's not what the taxes are, it's what the value of the property is what should be considered. So I'd like to know what the justification is to sell a $62,000 piece of property on the Cape Fear River for $14,000.
Can I just have this comment. At this point, it's worth 0 to us, because as long as we own it, we get no taxes off of it. Even though they're going to buy it at the tax value, it's going to go to the tax value, and then we'll get tax value at the 62. So right now, we're just sitting on a piece of property that generates absolutely nothing for the county, as opposed to it then generating at $62,000 or whatever it is on the tax value. But if you answer Mr. Keith's question.
The board has a policy that sets the minimum bid on these properties at what the county has in them at the sales, and this was the amount. And I noticed that this is one that was acquired in 2012. I think that over the years, there have been at least 2 other offers on these, and they never did close.
How was this advertised?
The advertisement is attached, and that is advertised in the Fayetteville Observer. That's the legal requirement.
Is that the only advertising we use is the Fayetteville Observer?
For published advertising, yes, sir.
And that's in the classifieds?
Typically, yes, sir.
The legals. It's in the legals, not classified.
Well,
it's in the
they
legals.
look like
Yeah,
classified.
but it's in the legals.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I fundamentally have an issue with selling property at 20% of the value of the property, just because, and I don't think we're communicating with the public. on the availability of these things. The person that is buying this is a real estate person, but it's not open to the general public. Of course, it is if they're looking at the classifieds of the Fayetteville Observer, but we should have a better process in place. The person who's buying this owns at least 30 other properties in Cumberland County. I have no idea what they're planning on doing with this. I would make a motion that we approve consent items 3G through L, and I'll just make a
Well-
motion we approve those.
Okay, let's go with the motion to approve G through L. Is there a second? It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Mr. Keith, before you make your motion on M, I will go to this point and ask the attorney. That's our policy that has been adopted by this board, that we will do it at tax value once they make that offer. So I'm trying to figure out if that's the policy that this board has set beforehand. I don't know, and that might have preceded me, it might have been way down before we got here.
It was.
Is that the policy?
For the minimum bid, you
Right.
don't, you don't have to accept any offer, and that's
Right.
advertised that way, but the board's policy for my office to accept a bid, it has to be at least the amount that's listed in our records as the cost to the county.
So, and I would guess I would go to this point, that my next question, because I heard what you said is that that's the legal requirement. If it's this board's desire, and I hear Commissioner Keith, is to start advertising it on different mediums, which didn't exist probably when this policy came into effect. Everything was, all legals were done in the Fayetteville Observer. I think they've loosened that, but that's a policy change, I think, that would need to be brought to the board as to where you advertise. I don't think you have the ability just to do that on your own. That has to be a policy change by this board.
Well, the law still hasn't changed with respect to advertising it in a newspaper of general circulation, so we'll always have to do that unless that law changes.
Right, but you can do that, but you can do additional.
You can do it,
That's
yes,
the
sir.
minimum that you have to do, which is to do it in the local newspaper, then you can go. However, according to where you put it, there is a cost to it, to some places, to some mediums, but not if you go through some of the internet, and some of those are on the, I guess it's on the website, Sally. I don't know, is this listed on the website?
Nope.
Well, I don't know,
Nope.
it should actually be listed on the
That
website,
don't cost anything, Mr. Chair.
The properties are,
but not the sale of this and all of that, and I think that is at a minimum. Commissioner
Sir.
Booth?
Okay.
That's what I was gonna ask. I said, do we do it on our own freebie? Because your crowd over there is getting really active with it, and it's fun to kind of watch and see what new areas are being covered and new interviews and stuff like that and everything. So I would say it'd be easy to do is put it on our own website just in case. Because I would hazard a guess that more people look at the county website than they do the Fayetteville Observer. And that's just the numbers, the sheer numbers of it.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could, I'd like to delay this action until we get a copy of the county policy on this, because I'm not aware of the county policy. I've heard about it, it's been said, but I've never seen it. So I'd
So
like to
he's
see.
got a motion to table, M.
Table item N, please.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
May
And we can review the
May I
policy.
confirm the second to the motion,
Me.
please?
Commissioner
Thank
Booth, and that's to, just to confirm the policy as to how we do it, and come back on any purchases.
On item M.
M, just M,
M.
Yeah,
just
okay.
one, just the
Yeah.
M, yes. And that's unanimous. Oh,
Commissioner Evans, your vote?
you.
Thank you, that is unanimous.
Thank you. Yeah, that takes us to the item of business, the consideration of the Mid-Carolina Workforce Development Consortium Agreement and Resolution, Madam Manager.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess it was a couple of agenda sessions ago, we had Justin Hembry, who's Executive Director of the Mid-Carolina Council of Government, come and talk to the commissioners about expanding the Workforce Development Program to more of a regional concept. He had planned to be here today, but he is out of town for a funeral, and so Mr. Jackson is going to present this item.
And everybody had this in their packet. Come around, Mr. Jackson. If anybody had any questions, as Mr. Hembry's not here, but did anybody have any questions that was not in the packet or addition to the packet? I think we've been presented this at our agenda setting. Anyone have any questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion approved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
All right, thank you. That takes us to consideration of the multi-purpose event center. Madam Manager.
Yes, sir. As we prepare to move this project forward, the first item of business that we need to do is to approve the capital project budget ordinance and to declare our intent to reimburse expenditures. So I'm going to ask our Finance Director, Vicki Evans, to walk us through these required approvals.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
Good morning.
So as you'll recall, in the fall of 2021, a feasibility study for a multi-purpose event center was provided information, including potential cost and a timeline. And in addition, the county also recently conducted a feasibility study for an owner's agent. Information from both of those sources was utilized to create a capital project budget ordinance account for the capital project, and that would include the construction costs, the owner's agent contract amount, and debt issuance cost. In your agenda packet, you had capital project budget ordinance number 220002 as an attachment to the memo. In addition to that, debt takeout is expected to occur upon building review and approval and construction contract execution, which is expected to be in early 2024, according to the feasibility study. Until that time, as the project incurs costs, the food and beverage fund balance will be utilized to fund those costs. And within that capital project ordinance, there's currently $2.5 million included for those initial costs. So after the debt takeout occurs and proceeds are received, the food and beverage fund will be reimbursed. A declaration of official intent to reimburse prepared by our bond counsel was also included as an attachment to the agenda memo. So we are requesting the board to approve capital project budget ordinance number B220002 to establish the budget for the multi-purpose event center capital project in an amount not expected to exceed $82.5 million, and the resolution of official intent to pursue a tax-exempt financing and to reimburse expenditures with proceeds of a borrowing. Are there any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Commissioner Evans.
No, I do, but I don't know if this is the right time to ask it. We're talking about monies.
Yes.
And my thing is, and for the listening audience, once this is done, which direction do we go with this?
Once the budget is approved?
Yes, once the budget is approved, what direction do we go with this?
So today, once the budget is approved, we will have the ability to fully execute the owner's agent contract, which is next on the agenda.
Which means?
Which means that the owner's agent is going to start working on our behalf to move forward with this project.
Fantastic.
Okay.
I'm sure that's music to everybody's ears, that this is moving forward. And I'm so pleased. I am, just like everybody else, right?
That's correct, Mr. Commissioner Counsel.
Oh, I was ready for a motion.
That we are.
I move that we approve the capital project board budget ordinance B220002 to establish the budget for the multipurpose event center capital project in an amount not currently expected to exceed $82,500,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
That is unanimous.
The next one, which is the consideration of the contract approval, goes exactly with.
I'm sorry, there's two, the resolution to official intent to
There's
pursue.
another motion.
Yes, and the second motion is the resolution of official intent to pursue tax-exempt financing and to reimburse expenditures with the proceeds of a borrowing.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved in second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Key. That takes us to the consideration of the contract approval for the owner's rep, Madam Manager. I think that this was discussed at
We had a
the committee meeting.
Yes, we brought together the multipurpose committee as the board had directed. The multipurpose committee reviewed the contract, proposed contract with MVP Carolinas, provided some input that was reconciled with MVP. The contract was included in the agenda, and so at this point, Mr. Walker can present the item, or we can answer any questions you have.
And it was sent to us in our packet. Does anybody have any questions for Commissioner Key?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. To Jermaine, this is a big deal for us, okay? And the first step of this is the owner's rep.
Yes, sir.
And can you go over a little bit about what we can expect since we are being televised? It's a big day for Cumberland County, what we're doing here.
In the context of what the owner's rep would do for the...
Yes.
So the owner's rep would come in, they would...
Wait a minute, let's do it this way. This, to make sure they understand this goes back to the multi-purpose center. I think
This
you
goes
gotta
back
make
to the
sure.
multi-purpose
People wouldn't know what the owner's rep, you're just talking about the owner's rep, but this is the owner's rep for the multi-purpose center that we just approved the budget for. So I'm sorry
Yes.
to interrupt you, Mr. Jermaine, but that's, you can go right ahead.
So the owner's rep, which is MVP Carolinas, they would develop the project budget in coordination with the county. They would also provide consistent updates to the Board of Commissioners and also to the general public as to the progress of the project. They would assist in geotechnical analysis, hiring the construction manager, at-risk general contractor. They would assist in any real estate actions that we need for site procurement. They would analyze those sites, bring back recommendations to the Board of Commissioners for the board to make those decisions, and essentially work with the county from inception through completion and post-completion to get the project completed online and have a complete and usable facility.
And that's in conjunction to the report that our consultants did, along with the committee that we have for the multi-purpose, correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Commissioners,
Fast forward a little bit.
Lancaster.
Give us a date that maybe with all that we're talking about and site and so forth. When can we go ice skating and listen to, and go downtown and have a good time somewhere?
If you do that, I want those lottery numbers. If you can get that, I want those lottery numbers.
You Commissioner Lancaster, downtown. Where we going down?
Go ahead, excuse me. I don't know if you can get that, but if you can give a,
No, just a little, futuristic prediction of sorts. And like everyone else, so glad that we were talking about this. But, we're talking, as people have said, to an audience. I'd like to let, maybe them know 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. What are we talking about?
Our target date is fall of 2025, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's encouraging.
Commissioner
Open.
Evans,
2025?
2025, yes, sir.
you'll be in Congress.
I can come back. But sir, thank everyone for the work that's been done. Commissioner Keefe for serving on the board as a liaison to the Crown Coliseum, and to all of my colleagues for the work and staff for what you're doing with this project. This is something that it seems like it was taking forever to get done. And we put our pedal to the metal, and we are in the process of having it done. And I am so grateful to this team of commissioners for doing that. It's going to be a great asset to the county of Cumberland. And yes, Mr. Lancaster, Commissioner Lancaster, We do look forward to it being downtown where we can ice skate, and maybe I'll do my first opening act singing.
Whoa, Lord have mercy. Commissioner Booth.
Thank you. I share the same vision that Larry has, is that at our age, we may not be here to see this, and Charles will be in another state by then. So my question is, and I know you would rather really just have it done by tomorrow, but we got a little thing on Facebook. You know how you do once memories from a year or so ago? Well, last January to March, there's all the pictures of Glenn with his hard hat on, me, and everybody else out there breaking ground at that was a big vacant lot beside the hospital. It's now 5 stories in a year. Is there just something that just says, if you're going to deal with the government, just, take your time, make sure you got this as somewhere in your base receipts, so that while you're doing everything else, this is still something? Because from the fall of 25, it was fall of 24, because I knew my term ended winter of 2024, and I thought, well, at least I might be able to see it a little bit. Now I can just kind of look at the lot, wherever it's going to be, and that's only one breath away from saying spring of 2026. So what's so magical about construction with the government means, nah, don't worry about it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. In 6 years, we've never enforced a late fee that I know of. We've never written a letter saying, what's the deal, guys, to any contract we've ever had. We're up to, what, 16 million gutting a pre-existing building, and we're into multiple years of taking out millions of dollars worth of equipment, and there's still no light at the end of the tunnel on our 911 center. So I'm just saying, what is it that folks just get like a pass when they deal with the government?
Well, I don't think that that's what it is as a pass. I think when you put in the hospital and you put in the county, it's 2 different entities that have to do 2 different processes. In terms of if you're out at the hospital, you don't have to necessarily go through the whole RFP and the bidding process as they have to do with government. And I think the attorney will tell you, you got to go to the RFP, you got to go out, and all of that has deadlines and adds on to any kind of construction costs. I don't think it's just for Cumberland County. Unless you do some public-private kind of entities or some things of that nature, you're going to have those long processes. And Madam Manager and Mr. Jermaine, y'all can add on to that if I'm incorrect.
No, sir. There's a process that's prescribed under the general statutes, and it's a competitive process that all local governments have to utilize. The hospital, as they're organized, are not required to use the general statute process.
I'm trying to get you there.
Yeah, but, I mean, we can go ahead and get copies of them and pull them. When we get these RFPs, it says January of 1994. And so they bid on it. And then the first thing they do is tell us that they're in a change order. And then we're in January of 1996, 70. And there's just never, I mean, if someone can tell me one governmental contract, city or county, that's come in at or ahead of schedule,
Don't mess with my splash pads.
Other than the bond issue of $90 million that the school board did back in the 90s. Other than that.
So I think that's the value of having an owner's representative. So this is, the county is approaching this project differently than any other project that we've ever constructed. We realize that how important this project is. And I think there's great value in having an owner's representative. So the staff group met with MVP of Carolinas last week, and they're already talking about, Commissioner Booth and the board, overlapping some of the processes. If we can move forward with the multipurpose committee of the board and start looking at potential options for sites, then we can go ahead and start preparing the site as we're going through the design process. So I think that we are in a better situation for moving this project faster with an owner's representative assisting us.
All right, if I can get a motion?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor?
Voting in favor, Commissioners Lancaster, Council Stewart, Chairman Adams, Commissioner Keith voting in opposition. Commissioner,
He was in, he was with the affirmative.
Yes.
He just put his hand down too soon.
okay,
I'm
voting
sorry.
in opposition, Commissioner Booth.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
That takes us, there are no nominations for this meeting, and I will call on Vice Chairwoman Stewart for the appointments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
They in rare form today, Madam Vice
Apparently,
Chairwoman. I
apparently.
tell you.
Cumberland County Industrial Facilities and Pollution Control Financing Authority, I would ask for a motion to appoint the following nominees to fill the 7 vacancies. They are Timothy S. Richardson, Ronald C. Crosby Jr., Melissa Bostic, Donald Brooks, Dr. Tracy Hines Lashley, Gary A. Silverman, and Dakota W. Wright.
That's a motion, if I can get, that's her motion, if I can get a second.
I'll second it.
Anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Unanimous.
I don't see that there's any closed session items, so I will move to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Unanimous.
We are adjourned.